What if you could design your entire life around something you actually love? Escape that whole 9 to 5 grind and get this, do it all for less than what you'd spend on a nice dinner out? Well, that is the incredible promise at the heart of Chris Guillebeau's book, The $100 Startup, and we're about to break down exactly how it works.
Okay, so before we jump into the solution, we've got to understand the problem that this book really tackles head on. It's something the author calls the freedom trap, this idea that a traditional job is the only safe, secure path in life.
But how secure is it really? This is a quote from a guy named Michael Hanna after he was laid off from a sales job he'd had for 25 years. I mean, one minute he's a veteran professional, the next an HR manager is literally handing him a cardboard box. His story is just, it's such a powerful reminder that the so-called security we think we have can just vanish, gone, in an instant. So if that old career path isn't so safe, what about starting your own thing? Well, traditionally, that was pretty terrifying, right? It was all about taking on huge debt, writing these business plans thicker than a phone book, maybe sinking 60 grand into an MBA, and then basically begging gatekeepers for permission. It was high risk, super high stress, and frankly, it stopped most people cold before they even got started. But what if that entire model is just obsolete? The book makes a powerful case that we are living through a quiet revolution, a massive shift in how it works. A totally new, much more accessible path to real independence is opening up for everyone.
And this, right here, illustrates the core of that revolution. The cost to get started has completely collapsed. You don't need a huge loan. You can launch a real, legitimate business that creates value for people for less than $100. It's a game changer.
And check this out. I mean, the contrast here is just night and day. The old way, years of planning. Now, you can test an idea instantly. High overhead costs have been replaced by near zero startup costs. Instead of being stuck with a local customer base, you've got a global one. And gatekeepers, forget them. They've been replaced by direct access to payment tools like PayPal, connecting you directly to buyers in over 180 countries. This is exactly why it's a revolution. So you might be wondering, okay, how is any of this possible? Well, it all comes down to one really simple, really powerful concept that fuels this entire movement. Let's call it the value equation.
The starting point for any great business idea is right here, in what the author calls convergence. It's not just about doing what you love. It's about finding that magic overlap, that sweet spot where your passions and skills intersect with something that other people genuinely find useful. That is where a successful microbusiness is born.
And the business itself? It's nowhere near as complicated as you've been led to believe. This is a huge takeaway from the book. You can forget all the noise. You can boil any business down to just these 3 things. 1, you need a product or a service. 2, you need people who are actually willing to buy it. And 3, you need a way to get paid. That's it. Seriously, everything else is optional. Now, this is crucial. Value is all about solving a real problem for someone else. You know that old saying, teach a man to fish? Well, in business, that's often a terrible idea. Your customers, they don't want to learn how to fish. They're busy. They just want the fish, maybe with a little lemon on the side. Your job is to give them the solution, the benefit, not a masterclass in your process. Okay, so you found an idea that creates value. What's next? Draft a 50-page business plan? No way. According to this book, the advice is much, much more direct. Launch without a plan. The management legend Peter Drucker just nailed the spirit of this. Planning feels productive, but the book argues it's often just a fancy form of procrastination. The real progress, the actual momentum, that comes when you stop planning and you just start doing. Take Jen and Omar. This story is amazing. They were fresh out of design school, wanted a cool map to track their travels. They designed one, but the printer had a minimum order of 50, which cost them $500. So they hung one on their wall and were left with 49 extra maps. Omar just asked, hey, wonder if anyone would buy the rest. They put them up for sale online, and they sold out. Just like that. That accidental $500 purchase became their full-time business. They didn't have a plan. They just had a product, and they took action. Okay, this all sounds great, but let's be real. It can also feel a little overwhelming. You've got ideas swirling around, you can see the potential, but where on earth do you actually, begin? The answer is almost deceptively simple. If there's one single action to take away from all this, it's this. Just start. Take one tiny action. Register a domain name. talk to one potential customer, make one thing. The biggest hurdle isn't the money or the plan, it's inertia. And the only way to beat inertia is with a single step forward.
All right, so you start, you build something, you create value for people, great. But what's the end game here? What is the real payoff for all this work?
This is what it looks like. These are real people from the book. Brandon Pierce moved his family from Utah to Costa Rica, running his music software business from there. Bernard Vukas manages his company from a beach in Thailand. Look, the point isn't that you have to work from a beach, it's that you can. The real payoff is the freedom to build a life completely on your own terms.
And this, right here, might be the most important point of all. This whole model, it's not about becoming some mogul or building a massive corporation. It's about a fundamental shift in how you see your life. The goal isn't to cram your life into the little margins left over from your work. It's to build a business that is specifically designed to support your life, your priorities, and your definition of freedom.
So, we come full circle. It all comes back to this. You have a passion. You have a skill you can share. And as we've seen, the barrier to getting started has never, ever been lower. The only real question left is, what are you waiting for?